For 6 years, I gave my parents $2,000 a month, believing it was for my future. At Thanksgiving, my father laughed. What money? That was rent. My brother sat in the $260,000 house my payments helped buy, and I reached into my bag for the folder I'd spent years preparing. 30 people watching, turkey going cold on the table, my father laughed. Not the uncomfortable laugh of a man who has been caught. The other kind. The laugh of a man who has decided the accusation is absurd, who is using laughter the way you use a door, to close something, to communicate that the room behind it is not available for entry. What savings account? He said. Myra, that was rent. You lived in our house. That was rent. He was still smiling when he said it, still holding his wine glass, still the patriarch, still the man who had stood up 20 minutes ago and tapped his glass and told 30 members of our family how proud he was of my brother. I reached into my bag. I had been waiting 6 years to reach into that bag. I need to tell you about the kitchen table, because everything begins there. 6 years ago. A Thursday evening in late September. I had been out of college for 4 months and was making $42,000 a year as a dental hygienist. My first real job, the first money I had earned that felt like the beginning of something. My parents had asked me to come for dinner. When I arrived, there were 2 mugs of coffee already poured on the kitchen table, and a third one waiting, steam rising, placed with the specific intention of someone who has arranged a room for a conversation. My father, Dale, did the talking. He always does. Here's what we're thinking, he said. You stay here with us for a few years. You pay us $2,000 a month. Every penny goes straight into a savings account in your name. We manage it, grow it right. In 3, maybe 4 years, you've got a down payment, a real one. You'll own a house before any of your friends. He said it the way he says things he has already decided, like a plan being presented, not a proposal being offered. My mother, Connie, nodded across the table with the warm expression she uses when she wants you to understand that something is being done for you. I was 22. I was making $42,000 a year. I had $1,100 in my checking account. I said yes before I finished the coffee. That was the decision. 6 years of everything else came from it. I want to tell you what the next 6 years looked like from the inside, because the numbers alone don't carry it. I ate leftovers at my desk while my coworkers went to lunch. Not always. I'm not performing poverty, but often enough that it was a pattern, that it was a choice I made consciously every time, because $2,000 a month is $2,000 a month, and I was making $42,000 a year, and then $47,000, and then $51,000, and the math was always tight. I drove a 2009 Honda Civic with a cracked dashboard and a passenger side window that only went down 3/4 of the way. I drove it for 4 years. My coworker asked once why I didn't replace it, and I said I was saving up, and she nodded with the look of someone who respects financial discipline, and I did not correct the impression. Every month, I handed over half my paycheck. Every month, my mother sent a screenshot. White background, black text, just a number floating on the screen with no account header, no institution name, nothing else visible. $24,000 after year 1, $48,000 after year 2, $72,000 after year 3. The math always checked out perfectly, which is to say, the number always increased by exactly $24,000, with nothing extra for interest, nothing less for fees, just the clean accumulation of $2,000 times 12 times the number of years elapsed. I noticed, sometime in year 2, that the screenshots looked identical, except for the number. Same white background, same font, same absence of any institutional detail. I told myself it was just how she took the screenshot, that she was cropping out irrelevant information, that the regularity of the format was organizational, not suspicious. I told myself this with the specific effort of someone who needs the story to be true, because the alternative is a thing she cannot afford to look at yet. I kept paying. My brother Travis is 4 years older than me. He has never, in my memory, paid rent to our parents. He lived at home until he was 27, a fact presented by my family as a reasonable life choice, a practical decision, the kind of thing smart people do when they're building towards something. When he moved out, my parents helped him with the security deposit on his apartment. When he got engaged to Jenna, my parents contributed to the wedding. When they had their daughter, my parents bought the nursery furniture. None of this was secret. None of this was hidden. It was just the texture of how our family worked, the invisible structure of how resources moved, the thing you stop registering as information because it has always been true. My father toasted Travis at every Sunday dinner. 31 years old. Great job. Great family. The pride of the sentence was audible even when the sentence was about something ordinary. When he turned to me, the register changed. The particular gentleness people use for disappointment they're being kind about. Myra, you'll get there. Some people just take a little longer. I had been paying $2,000 a month for 3 years when he said that at a Sunday dinner in year 3. I looked at my plate. I said nothing. That was the last Sunday dinner I attended for a while. The early clinic closure happened on a Wednesday in October of year 4. My boss's practice had a burst pipe, the kind of thing that means the day ends at 2 wide instead of 5 out, the kind of gift you didn't ask for and appreciate more than you expect. I texted my mother that I was coming home early. She didn't respond, which was not unusual. I let myself in through the front door. The house was quiet in the specific way of a house where someone is home but not in the main rooms. I put my bag down, went to the kitchen for water. The back door was open. My mother was on the patio, back to me, phone pressed to her ear, facing the garden the way she does when she's having a conversation she wants privacy for. Covered most of Travis's down payment. she said. I stood behind the kitchen island. I put my hand flat on the granite. She doesn't know, my mother said. Dale thinks we can keep this going another 2 years, pay off the rest of the business loans. I stood there. The business loans. Travis's down payment. She doesn't know. I stood at the kitchen island with my hand on the granite, and I let each piece land separately. The down payment on Travis's house, $260,000, purchased the previous spring, celebrated at a Sunday dinner I had not attended. The business loans, my father's landscaping business, which had been having a difficult few years, which my parents had mentioned occasionally in the vague way of people gesturing toward a situation they don't want to specify. My $52,000 was in Travis's house. My $2,000 a month was in my father's business accounts. The screenshots, those perfect, clean, institutional logo-free screenshots, were not from a savings account. They were a number someone typed on a white background. I took my hand off the granite. I walked to my room. I locked the door. I sat on the edge of my bed. My hands were in my lap and they were completely still, which surprised me. I had expected them to shake. They didn't shake. What happened instead was a coldness that started in my chest and moved outward, the specific temperature of something that has been warm for a long time and has understood it was wrong to be warm. I opened Google Drive. I created a new folder. I named it Home Fund Docs. Year 4 to year 6 were the most methodical 2 years of my life. I am a dental hygienist. I am a person who works in millimeters, who documents precisely, who understands that the difference between what is recorded and what is not recorded is the difference between a claim and a fact. I brought that precision to the folder. Every text from my mother that referenced the savings account, screenshot, date, exact phrasing. I had them going back to year 1 on my phone. I had never deleted them, the way you don't delete things that feel important even before you understand why they're important. Every email from my father about the savings, the one that said give it another year, the interest is good, the one that said the account is healthy, you're in great shape, the one from year 3 that said proud of you for being patient, this is going to pay off. Patient, his word. A voicemail left by my mother during a period when she was managing my apparent savings questions by phone rather than text, in which she said, clearly, without ambiguity, in the voice she uses for logistics, I moved some of your savings into a different fund. Don't worry, it's fine. Call me back. I did not call her back. I had the voicemail transcribed by a service and saved the transcript alongside the audio file. 22 pieces of evidence over 2 years. I never asked a question I didn't already know the answer to. I let them continue the fiction, the screenshots arriving monthly, the numbers climbing with their perfect, too clean math, because I needed them to keep putting the lie in writing, and they obliged every single month with the comfortable ease of people who believe they are not being watched. I found a lawyer named Pamela Okafor in the spring of year 5. I had researched civil litigation attorneys for 2 months before I called her, the specific research of someone who wants to make one call to the right person when the time is right. Pamela has been practicing civil law for 14 years, specializing in family financial disputes and unjust enrichment cases. She had a straightforward website and a first consultation process that asked you to bring documentation before the meeting, which told me something about how she worked. I brought the folder to our first meeting. She read through it for 40 minutes. Then she looked up at me. This is one of the strongest cases I've seen at this dollar amount, she said. I said, I'm not ready yet. She looked at me. I want the number to be final, I said. Month 72, every dollar documented. She considered this. That's your call, she said. The case doesn't get weaker with time. If anything, the pattern gets cleaner. That's what I thought, I said. I told her I'd be in touch in approximately 14 months. She wrote it in her calendar. Month 72 cleared on a Friday in November. I transferred my final $2,000 from my account to theirs and sat at my desk at 11 p.m. and looked at the transfer confirmation for a while. $144,000, 72 payments of $2,000, 6 years of leftovers at my desk, and a window that only went down 3/4, and Sunday dinners I stopped attending, and some people just take a little longer, and the screenshots that arrived every month like proof of something that never existed. I called Pamela. Month 72, I said. I'll prepare the filing, she said. How do you want to proceed? Not yet, I said. There's a Thanksgiving. A pause. I'm listening, she said. I told her about the dinner. 30 people confirmed. The family gathering, aunts, uncles, cousins, Travis and Jenna and their daughter. My parents in their house that my money had helped maintain. I want to go, I said. Are you sure that's the right venue for this? Pamela said carefully. No, I said, but I've been sitting quietly for 2 years. I want one room where the truth comes out in front of everyone who was told a different story. A pause. Okay, she said, then let's make sure you're ready. Thanksgiving. The second Thursday in November, 2 o'clock. I drove to my parents' house in the Honda Civic with the cracked dashboard and the window that only goes down 3/4. I had never replaced it. Some decisions you make and then you hold, because the holding is information. The house smelled like turkey and cinnamon, kids running down the hall, my cousin's boys chasing each other through the kitchen while someone yelled at them to slow down. The specific acoustic warmth of a full house at the holidays, which is a real thing regardless of what else is true about the people in it. I said hello to everyone. I hugged my aunts. I sat at the table in the seat my mother had set with a place card the way she does for big gatherings, and I put my bag on the floor beside me, and I looked at the manila folder I had placed inside it that morning. Closed clasp, everything in chronological order, Pamela's review notes in the back, and I set my napkin in my lap and I ate the meal. My father stood up after the main course. He tapped his glass the way he does. The table quieted. I want want to say something about family," he began, "because that's what this day is. This is what we built." He gestured at the table, at the people around it, at the house that a dental hygienist's $2,000 monthly payments had helped keep afloat. "I'm proud of everyone at this table, but I'm especially proud of Travis." He paused for the effect he knew would come. 31 years old, beautiful home, beautiful wife, beautiful daughter. He put the work in and he built something real. Applause. The comfortable applause of people who have heard this toast in various forms for years. Travis grinned. Jenna beside him looked at her plate briefly, then back up. Then my father turned to me. "Myra, the register change, the gentle kind, the kind that means I see you, you're behind, I love you anyway. You'll get there someday. Don't worry, some people just take a little longer." Soft laughter around the table. The easy laughter of people who have also heard this, who have absorbed it as fact. My Aunt Lorraine leaned toward me from 2 seats down. "Still renting, sweetie?" My mother, across the table, answered before I could. "She's saving up," she said. "She has a plan." She looked at me when she said it. Warm, certain. The look of a woman who has no idea that the sentence she just said is the most useful sentence she has ever given me. I set my fork down. The table noise continued for a moment and then quieted as the quieting does. Not because anyone called for silence, but because something in the air changed and the people in the room felt it. "Dad," I said, "since we're all here, I'd like to start the process of withdrawing from the savings account. The one you and Mom have been managing on my behalf. 6 years, $144,000. Silence. Not the polite kind. The kind that has weight. My father stared at me. His expression moved through several configurations. Surprise, recalibration, the decision, and landed where I knew it would land. He laughed. "Myra, that was rent. You lived in our house. That was your rent." 30 faces frozen around the table. My brother Travis held his beer partway to his mouth. I reached into my bag. I placed the manila folder on the table between the gravy boat and the cranberry sauce. Not slammed. Set. The way you set down something that has been carefully prepared and deserves to be received carefully. The way my father set down his glass when he made a toast, with deliberateness, with the intention of being heard. "This," I said, opening to the first tab, "is a text message from you, Mom. March 15th, year 2. I turned it so the table could see. You wrote, 'Everything's growing nicely. You should be proud of yourself for being so patient.'" My mother's lips parted. No sound. "This," I said, turning to the second tab, "is an email from you, Dad. Year 3. You wrote, 'Give it another year or 2. The interest is good, and we want to make sure you maximize the return.'" The color began to leave my father's face. Not all at once. In stages. "And this," I said, picking up the last document and holding it where the table could see, "is the written transcript of a voicemail. Mom's voice. She says, and I have the audio, which my attorney also has, 'I moved some of your savings into a different fund. Don't worry, it's all fine.'" I set it down. The table was absolutely quiet. 30 people, turkey going cold, the kids in the other room still running, oblivious, the only sound in the house. And then, from the kitchen doorway, Aunt Ruth. She had not been at the table for this. She had been in the kitchen, the way she is always in the kitchen at family gatherings, managing the logistics with the efficient practicality of the person who does the invisible labor while everyone else sits down. She had heard enough. She came to the doorway and she looked at the table, and her voice when she spoke was flat and precise. The voice of a retired accountant who has seen the inside of enough financial situations to know exactly what she is looking at. "She's telling the truth," she said. "Connie told me herself, told me what she was doing and where the money was going. I told her to stop. She didn't." 30 faces. Then Jenna's voice, quiet, looking at Travis. "Your down payment," she said. "The $52,000 for the house." Travis put his beer down, picked it up, put it down again. My father's neck went red. I have seen this my whole life. The specific blush that starts at his collar and moves up when he is angry and does not want to be visibly angry. He slapped the table. Not hard, but the slap of someone who wants to end a conversation by establishing authority over the room. "You want to sue your own parents?" His voice had lost the performance. What was underneath it was rawer. "Go ahead. You want to do that to this family? Sue me." I looked at him. 3 full seconds. "Okay," I said. I closed the folder. I stood up. I picked up my bag. I walked to the front door, and I opened it, and I walked through it, and I did not look back. The drive home was 42 minutes. I drove the Honda Civic with the cracked dashboard. The window on the passenger side worked the way it always worked, down 3/4, not further. The heater made the sound it has been making for 2 years that I keep meaning to have looked at. I drove through the November dark, and I thought about the kitchen table 6 years ago. The 2 mugs already poured. The 3rd one waiting for me, steam rising. I had said yes before I finished the coffee. I thought about all the things that sentence cost. I thought about leftovers at my desk, about Travis's house, about "you'll get there someday. Some people just take a little longer," about 30 people watching, about my mother saying she has a plan with the warm certainty of a woman who had not understood what the plan actually was. I was not crying. That surprised me. I had thought I would be. What I felt instead was something I don't have a precise word for. Not triumph because the money was gone and the family was damaged and none of it was uncomplicated. Not relief exactly, though it was adjacent to relief. Something more like the feeling of setting down something very heavy that you have been carrying for a long time. I called Pamela when I got home. "It's done," I said. "How do you feel?" She said. "Ready," I said. Pamela filed on Monday morning. Promissory estoppel. My parents had made a clear and specific promise. $2,000 a month, every penny saved, down payment in 4 years. And I had relied on that promise to my financial detriment, foregoing other housing options, other other savings vehicles, 6 years of alternative choices. Unjust enrichment, they had received $144,000 in funds explicitly designated as savings for my benefit and had used those funds for their own purposes, including my brother's down payment and their business debts. The civil claim, $144,000 plus court costs. The summons was served to my father's front door on a Wednesday afternoon. He had to sign for it himself. Pamela told me this detail when she called to confirm service. I noted the specific pleasure I took in it and did not apologize for the pleasure. My mother called that night. I did not answer. She left a voicemail, the real kind, the frightened kind, the voice of a woman who has spent 2 days in a house where the family she managed is coming apart and is only now beginning to understand what she built it on. She said, "Myra, please, we can work this out. We didn't mean..." I saved the voicemail, not for evidence. Pamela had enough evidence. I saved it because I wanted to know, when I listened to it eventually, whether the thing I heard in her voice was real. The case settled 8 months later. I want to be precise. My parents did not contest the filing. My father had consulted an attorney who had apparently reviewed the documentation and advised them that contesting a case with 22 exhibits, a corroborating witness, and a retired accountant willing to testify would be an expensive and likely unsuccessful undertaking. The settlement was $139,000, less than the full amount by $5,000, which reflected the actual fair market value for the room and utilities over 6 years, which Pamela and their attorney negotiated in the final session. It was $5,000 I gave up willingly, because I understood the argument was reasonable and because I wanted the thing to end. A structured payment plan, 18 months, my mother's signature beside my father's. Aunt Ruth called me the week after the settlement was finalized. "I should have done more," she said. "You told her to stop," I said, "and you stood up at that table." "It wasn't enough," she said. "It was what you did," I said. "That's what matters." We talked for a while. She is the only member of my family I have spoken to since Thanksgiving. She calls once a month with the regularity of a person who has decided to maintain something through consistent, modest effort rather than dramatic gestures. I appreciate this about her. Travis has not reached out. I have thought about this. What it means, what I expected, whether I expected anything. He did not design the scheme. He benefited from it. Those are two separate things, and I hold them separately, and I have not yet decided what the space between them means for a future relationship. That is a question for later. I bought a house in March, 3 bedrooms, a backyard, a neighborhood I had researched for 6 months before I found the right street. A mortgage that my attorney, a man named David Chen, 15 years in residential real estate, patient and precise, walked me through with the specific attention I asked for. The attention of someone who wanted to understand every document before she signed it. I signed everything. The window in my car still only goes 3/4 of the way down. I am going to get it fixed.